What's up? This is Max.
This is Jonah.
This is Dan.
And this is Podcast Paradise episode Quarantine Chronicles 5. And we have the first guest we've had in about 6 months. And that's counting the lost episode that has never been uploaded. So why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Chris. I'm honored to be on Podcast Paradise as the first guest in 6 months. It's great to be here.
Yeah,
Long
time friend of the program.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember how we first were introduced? Because I don't either.
What, me and you?
Yeah, I have no memory of it.
We became friends in like 6th grade, I think.
I don't remember.
I think it was because you and Emmett and Kai were in band all together. And then I was friends with Emmett from elementary school. And then we formed a group.
I mean, that checks out.
I remember like the first time I came over my house in like 6th grade and you went inside to make coffee milk. And you filled up your glass halfway with the syrup and with the milk. And my mom did not know what to say.
So not much has changed.
No.
All right.
You've always been a shithead.
So when you bring on Donald Trump to a podcast, you talk about politics. When you bring Jesus Christ onto a podcast, you talk about Christianity. When you bring Chris Sylvia onto a podcast, you talk about fucking dinosaurs. So
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the it's a little happened over a week ago, I think now, but the Spinosaurus landmark discovery.
Dude, crazy.
Do you want to set this up for the 3 listeners out there, Chris?
Oh, sure thing. So, the Spinosaurus has always been a very, I don't want to say elusive because it's been dead, but been very difficult to find fossils from. There was only like one known fossil discovered in the early 1900s, and that was destroyed in World War II. So we did not know much about this huge predator. And then recently, about a week ago, I don't remember where. I didn't do my research for this.
It was in Morocco.
Morocco. They found an 80% complete Spinosaurus tail that was very elongated, which is very suggestive of the Spinosaurus being fully aquatic and swimming to catch fish, which is pretty crazy that a reptile was doing that.
Now, we knew that it was semi-aquatic for a while because even fucking Jurassic Park 3, it swims and shit. But like,
yeah.
Now we know that it's like it might be almost exclusively aquatic.
Yeah. Like before this, people just thought it kind of just stood in shallow water and then like picked off fish. But now we know like it actively swam and chased them, which is
what I gather from this is that it sounds like it's a transition species between a fully aquatic and a fully terrestrial animal. So if it were to keep evolving, it would eventually become like a plesiosaur or a whale.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like it was on its way to doing that eventually. But then, that shit happened.
So this leads me to one of my theories that I have that Dan is strongly against. I would say openly mocked me for having this theory. But this leads me to my theory. So if you think about it, on land in the current world, you have the land predator, which is a certain size, and then you have the biggest land prey is always bigger than the land predators.
Oh, I see where you're going. Okay.
Same thing in the ocean. We have the blue whale is bigger than any sea predator. Now flip back to prehistory. We know that the biggest prehistoric land predators are bigger than the land predators of today. Same thing for the land prey. Same thing for the ocean.
boy.
Same thing for the ocean predators, and then we just assume that there's never been any ocean prey bigger than a blue. Riddle me that.
First of all, let me get this out of the way that the blue whale is an ocean predator.
Oh, fuck you! No, it's not.
No, it's
Yes,
not, Dad. Dad.
The krill
Dad.
does not count.
Not in like the
this-
way that
in
we
this
think of
sense,
predators.
Yeah, in this sense, that's not what we're thinking of.
You're thinking of like an actively hunting.
We're
Like,
thinking about cool
Alright,
shit,
I know,
not
I get what you
sucking up krill. You know, like actually.
Yeah.
being
You mean
cool
like a
and killing
tiger,
stuff.
not a filter feeder. All right.
Yeah,
Right.
dude.
So,
The deers. They prey on grass. You can't underestimate them.
So what
I mean-
say you to that, Dan?
in many ecosystems, there's creatures that get so large that they don't have any predators anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at an article on Spinosaurus because I'm very dumb when it comes to dinosaurs, so I wanted to do a little bit of on-the-fly research. And it says that specifically that Spinosaurus has cone-shaped teeth, which are best suited not for like ripping and tearing at large pieces of flesh, but for snagging
Grasping
quote-unquote
for fish,
slippery
yeah.
fish. So like their
Yeah.
teeth, their big teeth and jaws were actually meant for getting fish, not for like biting off chunks of Max's super predators.
And that's why their I don't want to say snout, but their snout shape was long and narrow, as
Mhm.
opposed to like shallower and wider, like most.
Yeah, because
land
they cover more
predators.
like possible land. It gives them more reach to get fish.
Yeah.
So, all right, back to what Max was saying.
I love the concept.
There-
I just don't agree with it.
There doesn't necessarily have to be a giant predator for every giant piece of prey. Look at the saltwater crocodile, for example. That thing is huge, but there's nothing taking that thing down.
Well, what Max is saying is that nothing necessarily needs to prey on it, but that there's an animal that's much larger than any like true apex predator that like it's not prey, but like it's so large that it can't be eaten. As is the case with like the blue whale. Like a sperm whale or a great white shark is never going to attack a blue whale just because it's so massive. But in what
Yeah, there
Max is
could have
saying
been,
is,
like,
if there's like a mosasaurus or like a spinosaurus, what prey, quote unquote, is so
Oh.
large that it's not going to attack it.
Oh, I see. Well, what I think it is that being large has an advantage in getting lots of small animals. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a big prey item for a predator to be big. You know?
I don't
Yeah,
know
but
where you're going.
what's the prey? What's the prey item that hypothetically only feeds on krill that a megalodon is not eating? Because a megalodon is probably eating a blue whale.
I don't think we should call them prey. I think we should call them
No.
like a peaceful animal
Because
Yeah,
Okay.
like non-violent.
because it doesn't necessarily need to be eaten.
well, first of all, we don't know if megalodon hunted actively. Megalodon could have ate like decaying animal.
Dan,
That's
you're not
boring,
getting
though.
Max's point.
All right, I really am not.
Max,
So-
can you restate? Can you
so-
restate
okay,
your point?
so-
I feel like I bounced between 3 different points. And none of them have been right.
It's
So
very
just repeat it.
simple. So basically, think of like like Brontosaurus.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just huge. Nothing's gonna eat it.
Yeah,
And like one of the biggest land predators, like Tyrannosaurus Rex or whatever.
yeah, which would
Current-
not attack a brachiosaurus. Right?
Yes, current ocean now. You have like a great white, an orca. They won't
Mhm.
attack a blue whale because it's so big.
Right.
Now back 100 million years ago, Spinosaurus, Mosasaurus. Those things were Mosasaurus was like 60 feet long.
Mhm.
What animal was so big that Mosasaurus wouldn't attack it?
Like,
That's
what
Max
was
is
the
saying.
what was the
was there a
peaceful?
species that was so big that nothing, even back in the day, would attack it?
I don't
Let me
think
get
so.
that
I don't
correct,
think
Max.
there's any evidence of a creature that big that I know of.
Well, of course, there's no fossil evidence because it's the fucking bottom of the ocean.
I think theoretically there could be.
That's my point.
Yeah,
Of course,
there's a big niche there that needs to be filled. It's being filled right now by like whales and other filter feeders, but back then we don't know anything that filled that niche.
yeah. I'm not claiming that I have a secret fossil in my house that I'm.
Dude,
This
your
is
house is not big enough for a 150 whale fossil.
yeah. This is obviously theoretical. What do you call that? Extrapolating. I'm extrapolating and coming to this conclusion.
Yeah, Dan, it's
Right.
like the theoretical evolution that we were talking about. Like, it's just that essentially.
So I'm not going to take a hard stance on this because we really don't know. I am open to the possibility of there being some super animal from the prehistoric times. But I'm still going to say that with the evidence we have right now, it's probably most likely that the blue whale was the biggest creature to ever live.
I'm gonna tie myself in with Max's theory. I don't know much about
Yes!
it, but I like it. I like it. And I think it's cool.
Yes.
And also, like, yeah, even if it was real, we would have no evidence because the ocean, it's really hard to find fossils there, especially in the deepest parts, and how much the Earth has shifted over time. So I'm with Max, just because it's cool.
Awesome. I'm glad
So-
I won one person over.
I kind of like. I think I'm gonna split the difference here. Like, I think it's possible, but like we don't know if like the ecosystem could support such a large animal. Like, I know water. You know, though.
Wasn't there like an
think-
insane amount of algae then, though?
Like,
Were these aquatic reptiles warm-blooded? Do we know that? Because
Like
I
you're
think
talking about,
we
are you
don't
talking
know.
about Spinosaurus right now? Or...
I'm talking about what you guys are saying with like prehistoric aquatic predators and how there would be a giant prehistoric animal, like, because the big ocean creatures that we have now are mammals, so
Mhm.
they're warm-blooded by default, so they can go into the Arctic where they can hunt krill and get really big. But if the past giant ocean creatures were reptiles, could they have gotten that big where they could stay warm long enough to feed in colder places? Because these whales are getting big because they feed in cold places.
Well, I'll say one of the things that, because I have brought this theory up to my brother, who's very into animals, much like Dan, and his counterpoint was, there's no way that it could be a whale because whale evolution happened later on.
It's unique. It happened really fast too.
Yeah, so they're
it's
saying
definitely- it's something different, but it could still fill the same niche.
yeah, and I
But
don't.
I guess what I'm
it doesn't
saying,
it doesn't have to be a reptile either. Like,
I
why
guess-
could it not be a fish?
And
I'm
also,
kind of
there is
agreeing-
evidence that says that dinosaurs were warm-blooded. Apparently,
Yeah,
Alright, so
totally.
that's cool.
because they're
Alright.
like their closest related descendants are birds, like chickens and stuff.
Oh,
which
yeah,
and
are
birds
are
warm-blooded.
so it's a definite possibility that it could do that. And also, with all like the aquatic dinosaurs, I think that's pretty easy to say.
And I kind of agree with what Chris said. With like, we don't know if there was an ecosystem that would
Okay,
be
so now,
favorable
but
to
I was
something that
talking.
But
big.
wasn't
I
there a
was
ton
talking
of?
myself.
You can go, Chris.
I was gonna say I'm talking myself into it. Think about like the difference in size between current land and sea creatures. Like what's the largest land creature right now? An elephant.
Elephant.
Yeah,
Then look at the
African
sea.
elephant.
Blue whale.
Right.
Look at back-
because,
look at
because
back in the
weight doesn't
day.
matter.
Brontosaurus. Largest sea.
Yeah. If that ratio holds up, it would be like
Yeah.
massive. We don't know if
Even
it
if
would.
it's
but...
like a 2-time ratio. The Brontosaurus was what, like 80 to 100 feet long.
I think we just need to find a reason for an animal to get that big.
And
Because
also, wasn't the ocean super rich back then in like algae and like smaller aquatic life?
it was warmer during the age of the dinosaurs.
But like the whole
Um,
thing about like how like the Earth like gained oxygen was because there was a shit ton of algae. Like back then, like that's pretty much all there was for like plants in the ocean, which is like
Well, the Earth has gained oxygen for a number of different reasons.
well,
not
I'm
just
saying
algae.
like oxygen in the ocean specifically.
Hmm.
Like, I'm pretty sure back then, I'm kind of an idiot, but I'm pretty sure back then, like, the ocean was kind of full to the brim with life.
Well, isn't
Yeah.
there also some weird theory that like the difference in the air is what allowed animals to get bigger back then in the first
Yeah,
place?
there was lots more oxygen. The
So
air was
during
more
the,
oxygen rich.
I think the Carboniferous is the age of the giant insect. Like back when they had these things called griffin flies, which were like dragonflies the size of hawks, and Arthropleura, which was like a millipede that was like I think 10 feet long.
Yeah, because isn't chitin made of carbon, which is why
Yeah,
it was so carbon
it's
rich?
heavy.
Okay,
If you
yeah.
don't have enough oxygen to support yourself, you won't be able to move. So that's why we don't have big insects, because arthropods are very heavy for their size.
Yeah, so there was definitely, like, the formula's there for there to be a lot of shit for this thing to feed on.
I rest my case.
Yeah, I like it. You successfully dissuaded an idiot, Max. Congrats.
I don't think your theory is wrong. I don't think it's quite right either. That's all.
It's the fun
I think
theory.
it's a gray area. It is a fun theory.
Max, did you see that article recently that suggested that like raptors hunted solo and not in packs?
No, I did not.
Oh, what?
So
Dude, but
this
they're
art-
vocal
I
dogs
was-
from Jurassic Park 3.
Yeah,
Yeah,
come
the-
on.
So I was doing some research on it, and basically this study analyzed like the carbon and I think oxygen in the teeth of like baby like velociraptor fossils versus adult velociraptor fossils. And what they found was like the carbon levels were like higher in the baby ones because they ate like they suggested they ate like lizards and other small things, while adults ate plant eating dinosaurs. I mean, yeah, like herbivores.
hmm
And they compared it to like modern solo animals that like can feed on things when they're young, but then as an adult that stuff isn't available or it's not like dependable. They compared it to like Gila monsters that like have to hide in trees and eat different things when they're young, and then when they're older they eat on the ground, because if they were packs they'd be eating the whole thing. I mean the same
Mhm.
thing throughout their whole
Yeah.
life. So,
The babies would be feeding off of the adults' kills.
yeah, exactly. So this like carbon, I don't know too much about it, but it basically suggests that they were solo hunters, despite what Jurassic Park showed.
I've been
Wow,
lied to.
that's really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, this I'm reading it right now. It said the baby dinosaur teeth had higher levels of the element carbon-13, which suggested they ate things like lizards and other small meat eaters. Adult teeth had lower levels of carbon-13 because their diet was mostly plant-eating dinosaurs. He said this pattern was similar to what they saw in crocodilia and suggests that they may have worked together, but they probably weren't pack hunters like wolves. So,
So is that Velociraptor in particular?
I think it's just raptors. The article title is Raptors, yeah. So,
Huh.
it says they analyzed teeth from, oh boy, this is Latin. Deinonychus and Pteroptis, wolf-sized raptors.
Yeah, so that's not Velociraptor, but that's actually what the Velociraptors in Jurassic Park are based off of.
Yeah.
They just changed the name.
So those are the
Wow,
teeth that
that's-
they analyzed.
I didn't even know
If you-
that.
If you look it up later or whatever, there's a few things on it.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that. What
So-
time do we have, Jonah? How long have we been on Dinosaur?
Let me see. Only 20
45
minutes.
minutes.
What was that, Jonah?
20 minutes.
Okay. Dan, did you have one more thing to say before we move on?
Yeah, just one real quick. I think Chris Pratt might be the best dinosaur trainer ever because he taught raptors how to pack hunt too.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. I love Jurassic World.
Was there a Spinosaurus in Jurassic World?
No.
Mm,
Oh,
There's
then I was
actually-
gonna say.
There's an Easter egg though, where when they first let I can't believe we're talking about Jurassic World.
I've never seen it. I've only seen Jurassic Park 3.
You know when they let the T-Rex out at the end of the movie
Mm-hmm.
in World? Well, it smashes through a skeleton, like in the visitor center on its way to fight the Indominus Rex, and that skeleton is a Spinosaurus. And it's supposed to be like a nod to the audience. That,
There's
like,
a lot of nods to like the previous movies in Jurassic World. Like I think in one of the scenes there's the like van or jeep from the last one.
Mhm.
Yeah, they find the Jeep and like the bug goggles or whatever that zoom in and out.
Yeah, the night vision.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the T-Rex is supposedly the same as the first movie because you can see like the raptor cuts on it.
Mm-hmm.
How long do they know like how long T-Rexes lived for approximately?
Don't know.
Probably not that long.
I'd say like 40 years or so. That's my
Yeah,
guess.
do you think it could have survived from Jurassic Park 1 to Jurassic Park World?
30 years is what Google is saying.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's pretty
Yeah.
big.
I mean,
It's
it is
got
a
a heart
reptile
problem.
too.
Whoa,
Yeah.
whoa. But remember, the dinosaurs have their genes modified in
Right.
Jurassic Park.
They have like frog DNA and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
So they can change genders and breed.
They
Yeah,
probably
is that-
have
is
that
mortar
why?
DNA, so that's why they live
Yeah.
so long.
All right, are you ready to move on?
Yes.
All right. Have you guys seen the UFO footage from a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I've been saving this for when Chris comes on because I feel like you can go for 2 hours on this. What do you think when you see that UFO footage?
I'm not gonna lie, I saw it and I was like going to work and I'm like, I'll watch this later, and then I never watched it. I'm gonna watch
Wow.
it real quick. I like read something on it, but I didn't actually watch the video.
All right, Dan,
Um,
have you seen it?
Yes.
What did you think?
So first of all, I liked all the memes about it.
Best way
I
to
like
value
memes
any
like-
event.
2020 is such a shitty year that nobody cares that that the government just released UFO footage. I thought it was pretty interesting. Obviously, it was kind of low quality, but we don't have any aircrafts that are shaped like that.
Oh, dude, that's a UFO.
Yeah.
Dude, I saw this tweet that was like, everybody's like tweeting about this unidentified flying object. I know exactly what it is. It's a UFO.
It even like I remember it even kind of looked like a UFO.
Well,
Yeah.
also, like, a lot of theories, like, oh, dude, it's a fucking umbrella that got shot up in the air by the wind. It's in the video. The dudes that are, like, recording it mention that it's going directly against the wind.
Yes.
But it's
Going
still
at some
going that fast.
crazy amount of speed too.
Yeah, like,
Yes.
absurdly fast. I, like, honestly,
dude,
I
it's-
haven't thought about this as much as I should. It's like, I'm still a little, like, on the fence. I have no idea what I think, to be honest, but I'm leaning towards UFO.
Well, I think so. The question that needs to be asked is, obviously it's a UFO, which is simply an unidentified flying object.
But is it a
Right.
UFO?
Do not know
Is
what
it-
it is.
Is it an alien UFO? Like, is it life flying
Mhm.
that thing?
Mm-hmm.
I got no
And-
clue.
It could
I'd like
be
to
like
think
a
that it's
super
like
high-tech
a-
drone.
Yeah, but that's
dude,
that's way too fast for a drone. I'd like to think it's like a North Korean like new like jet or something.
Dude,
but
Their
who knows?
technology is in like the 50s.
That's what they want you to think.
Have you? Maybe you haven't seen it, but have you seen the interview that came out recently where Dennis Rodman talks about Kim Jong Un?
No.
Well, Dennis Rodman has been hanging out in North Korea with Kim Jong Un for like 7 years now.
Yeah, dude, they're
And
boys.
and Dennis Rodman said that when he showed up, because I never really understood how the fuck they became friends, to be honest with you. Apparently, when Dennis Rodman showed up, Kim Jong Un was like, "Oh, we invited Michael Jordan, but he said no, so I invited you." And Dennis Rodman, like, or Kim Jong Un, like, looks up to Dennis Rodman, like he's some sort of like hero. And there's a story that Dennis Rodman told, where he shows up to one of Kim Jong Un's parties, and Kim Jong Un, like the band that Kim Jong Un has playing at his party, literally the only song that they know is the theme song to the really old show Dallas, and they just play that over and over and over again. And then Dennis Rodman was like, "Hey, why don't you guys learn some Pearl Jam or some Radiohead?" And then they started learning Dennis Rodman songs, and he's like a fucking hero there.
That's so sick.
Imagine if Kim Jong Un actually died and Dennis Rodman was next in line. It was like in Kim Jong Un's will, like Dennis Rodman is the new supreme
I
leader.
leave my country. Dennis Rodman.
He said that Kim Jong Un would show him like his military shit too, and like all his like tanks and aircraft.
He's seen the UFO.
So it's literally like the real life interview movie.
I know.
They're like,
Do you think the FBI is like pressed him to ask him like, "Can he show you the nukes?" And it's like,
They
man, I
definitely
can't
have.
rat out my boy.
They
I
definitely
can't rat
have.
out Kim Jong Un.
absolutely. They've definitely asked him.
Like, why not?
But yeah, so back to the alien thing. My theory is that I don't know if they're aliens, but obviously that's an aircraft. But there are a lot of aircrafts that we wouldn't necessarily know about. So like there was a thing a while ago where the United States released, I think it was in like 2012, they unclassified or declassified a document where they had been following commercial aircraft with their own drones, like flying behind them in case of like a 9/11 or whatever. So that conspiracy theory is confirmed. And I just feel like there are a lot of United States aircraft like that we just have no idea exist.
Yeah, that aren't known to the general public.
But the scary thing is...
It's weird that they would release it, but it's also a good red herring.
Yeah, the scariest thing is why release it? Because that means that it came from a different country. And that means that a different country has technology that we don't have.
China?
The Brits.
It'd be Russia.
You think so?
Yeah, it could be
Yeah.
poutines.
I feel like Russia bluffs a lot though. Like they're not quite as good as they let on.
Cold War Part 2.
Yeah, that's a big claim. You want to fight for it?
Yeah, Dan, you're going to have the fucking Gestapo showing up at your house tomorrow.
I'll call you guys from the gulag for the next podcast.
Oh yeah, because they got phone privileges there.
They'll give
That's
it.
gonna be his one call, dude. I gotta join the pod.
He's gonna like sneak his DSN up his ass and then send us a picto chat.
I'm sure my parents know I'm fine. I gotta do this pod.
Yeah, you call in over the fucking prison phone. Back in those, just a bunch of Russian prisoners. A couple of American journalists.
Now that you bring up Dan sneaking in his DS, I feel like I should tell this story on the podcast. There was a time where in high school, me and Dan were taking a math test together, and I look over and I see him with his phone in his calculator case. And I'm like, is this motherfucker cheating right now? And I like look over, and we're right in front of the teacher's desk too. And I look over and he's fucking playing Pokemon. Like, why did you risk it to play fucking Showdown?
So that was when I was just getting into Showdown, and
You need to train.
yeah, that class was bullshit. Right? That's all I gotta say. That class was bullshit. No one wanted to be there. Max,
Yeah, your
you
class
listened to-
especially was awful.
I saw you listening to metal and watching basketball games while she was lecturing.
Not during the test. Why would I risk that? It looked
Yeah,
like
and then
we
you
were
would sit
cheating.
there at the test and not fill anything out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're both getting zeros. Dan's just having more fun.
All right,
with
I
it.
never got zeros. All right.
Wait, so then why didn't you just hand in the test and then play?
Because I
If you
knew
actually
we
did
have
the test, you
multiple
could just do it
classes
and then-
worth, and I wasn't in the right mind frame.
Dude, that year, like, if you were nice to Miss Bennett, she was chill. You could have just like been the only decent person in that class, and she would have let you do anything.
Well, I didn't know we were name dropping these teachers.
Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Teneb.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know. It's like I was never mean to her. I just didn't really care for her class, you know.
You were
She was a nice
disrespectful playing
person.
fucking Pokemon while she
She was a nice. She didn't know that. It was a nice, and she was a nice person though.
Oh yeah, Dan was just staring at his calculator. Actually, the calculator was
In
on
a
the
math
desk. He's
test,
just staring at
Which
his
is a
case.
pretty normal thing to do.
Oh yeah, it's really normal to stare at your calculator and not touch the test at all or write anything on it and just, use the calculator for like 10 or 12 minutes. Some
I
real
see no
intense
problem.
equations.
I see absolutely no problem here.
Well, one last note on the alien thing. There was right before I went to write down the topics for this podcast, I got a notification that Trump has finally unveiled the Space Force flag.
I gotta look this up.
So maybe he knows. Maybe that we couldn't figure out what the purpose of Space Force is. Maybe he knows shit that we don't.
Or maybe that's a Space Force fighter rocket. The
What if
Space
it
Force
is-
X-Wing.
What if it is like extraterrestrial life though, and not another country?
Yeah,
Like,
I know, right? I don't even
what
know
if
how
it-
to process that.
What if it's like the Great Filter? Like, have you ever read that theory?
Yeah, I
No.
have.
So basically, like we're on step 8, which is like good, like one planet colonization, and then step 9 is like colonize other planets and systems, solar systems or whatever.
So someone else might
And,
be on
like-
step 9. Well, we're on
Yeah,
8.
they're like almost at step 9, and that's why like it's assumed that a lot of life is on step 8 or before step 8, and nothing has reached step 9, but maybe some other life has reached step 9. I don't know.
Yeah, but what does that mean? That means that they're here and we don't know about it. So like,
It
what?
means,
Well, they're
it
probably
means
not
that they
here.
have. It means
They're
that they have the
just aware.
capabilities to like travel interstellarly.
I know, but what does that mean for us? Like, I don't even know how
It
I would
means-
process that.
We're not in a good situation.
We're less
Yeah,
advanced.
It means
It
that we're
means we-
destined to screw up.
It means that
Yeah.
we've been getting spied on
Yeah.
by
that-
beings that are way more advanced than us that we really can't
Mhm.
do anything about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, before we get too down, the Space Force command is literally just the Star Trek logo.
I know. It looks
It's-
so much like it.
It's
What-
an arrow with like a notch in the bottom with a loop going around it and stars in the background and then words all around. It's literally the Star Trek Federation logo.
And
I
there's some sort of bullshit like explanation for everything. Like, oh, it's the North Star because we're like it represents the guiding light of good that we try to follow in the universe. And it's like, yeah,
and
okay,
it's
the
Star
fucking
Trek
Star
because
logo.
space is cool.
So
Yeah, it's
I think that as dumb as Space Force is, I still think it's pretty cool. Like, in a dumb way, you know?
I
I
don't
wonder,
think it's
like,
needed right
what
now, though. We don't
Yeah,
need
Yeah.
fucking
I was just wondering, like, what are they
Space
gonna do?
M16.
Well, that's the dumb part. The dumb part is that we don't need it. The cool part is that it's a space branch of the military.
it's also
how much-
illegal.
Do you know how much money it's gonna cost to like run this thing, dude?
Yeah, he
It's
goes
also-
Yeah, we'll
NASA.
spend a lot more money fighting like proxy wars in Afghanistan or something.
It's also a violation of UN code. Space is supposed to be neutral.
That has not stopped
We're
America.
gonna take it
before.
over. Therefore, that's why we have Space Force.
Yeah,
You
it
know
could be
about
neutral for them,
weapons,
but not for us.
It's like Flag B in domination when no one's got it yet. It's neutral, but like everybody's trying to get it.
And once we get it, China and Russia will be up there in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, if we break the
Yep.
seal, like it's just gonna unleash Pandora's box of assholes trying to like
Yeah.
privatize space. Dude,
Yeah,
I do not
so
want Jeff Bezos to fucking take over space. Like, he's going to. He's about to be a trillionaire. He's gonna take space. He's gonna buy it.
Yeah, I hope that doesn't happen. That to me is the lamest part about Space Force, is that it means it's taking like the final frontier of discovery and making it like privatized. It's making it
It's
corporate.
like stepping on the whole point of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's like saying, "Oh yeah, I own the Marianas Trench," like, and only I get to look in it. Like, that's fucking lame. You're gonna shoot me? Do it.
I think you're just describing Meg.
Yeah, look how that turned out. Rainn Wilson did not have a good time with Meg and Meg 2.
Yeah, he ended up having to get a job at the office after.
Dude, honestly,
wow.
one
There's a
of
Meg
the
2
worst
coming out,
twists. One of the worst twists was the second Meg.
No, I
There's
think
two of them?
the worst twist is that they killed that fucking whale by accident.
Well, we all saw
Yeah.
that coming. We were all sitting in the basement, like looking at it, like, yeah, it's a whale.
Oh,
Dude, that was
there's
obvious.
A sequel. Dude, there's a sequel coming out, and the only trivia on IMDb is if it stays true to the source material books, the original Meg has offspring.
Oh, dude.
Didn't they do that with Jaws?
Yes.
Yeah.
Jaws sequels?
Yeah.
And it was like the sharks like remembered and like they went after the people who fucked over original Jaws.
They did it with the really shitty Godzilla movie too, but thankfully that never had a sequel, so we didn't have to see the offspring in action.
So they just teased it.
Yeah, it was like a little nod at the end. Oh, look at this egg hatching.
And then all the fans were like, "No, don't do it." And they're like, "All right, fine."
Yeah, dude,
That movie-
all the Meg heads are gonna be freaking out at this new movie.
That Godzilla movie though, there's a part where like the baby Godzillas are like running and attacking them in Madison Square Garden. The whole thing is just like a Jurassic Park ripoff. Every second of it. I don't know
I've
if you
never
guys
seen
have
a
ever
Godzilla
seen
movie.
it, but
No.
yeah. Well, if you want to see somebody badly rip off Jurassic Park, I recommend Hour 3 of Godzilla.
Is Building Head in that one?
No.
I'm
No,
not
he's
interested then.
Building.
Have you guys seen the Mike Portnoy, or not Mike? I always call him Mike because the drummer, the Dave Portnoy lockdown rant that got onto Fox News.
No.
Nope.
Do you guys know who Dave Portnoy is?
Nope.
He's the Barstool guy, isn't he?
Yeah, he's the guy who owns Barstool.
Yeah.
Is
Like
he
the
like a
whole
frat boy?
conglomerate.
He's a total frat boy. And he had this like huge rant that he posted somewhere, and then they fucking interviewed him on Fox News because he's like livid at the quarantine procedure, and his whole like point in his rant is like, oh, they said we were just gonna flatten the curve, and now all of a sudden they're saying we gotta stay in until there's a cure. Like, what the fuck? Am I wrong, or is that not what they're saying? I didn't think we were waiting for a cure.
Yeah, we're waiting until shit gets better, whether there's a cure or not. It's just, it is about flattening the curve.
Yeah, am I wrong about this?
No,
No.
I don't think so.
No, you're not wrong.
So what the fuck is like Fox News just interviewed him and was like, "Oh yeah, man, you're like speaking sense right now." Like,
Well, you have to understand this is Fox News.
I know.
But it's like, I thought that I'd already lost all of my faith in journalistic integrity, but it turns out I still had more to lose, which is really surprising and kind of sad, but this just made me lose it even more hearing about this.
Didn't Fox have InfoWars?
You mean
didn't they
Alex
have-
Jones?
Yeah, wasn't Alex Jones on Fox News?
I don't know.
Because if they had him on Fox News, then I mean, there is no bar to be set anymore.
Dude,
I
I've become a total caveman. Like I've just anytime I walk by a TV with the news on, I just tune it out.
Yep.
It's been so bad recently. I feel like I'm a fucking like 10-year-old again. I don't know shit about the world.
well, I will say though, I like because I'm sure you've heard about how Trump has been having those like daily pressers, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I've seen my dad complain about them.
I do
Not
like that
though.
because the journalists used to just kind of like not do anything and just kind of let him do his thing, and they've started like fighting back a little bit to the point where he's like calling the press conferences after like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I
he's
saw.
like
Did you see the one
racist.
with the Asian woman?
Yeah, it's honestly I'm a big fan of it.
Like-
I feel like that should be the new goal with these is see how quickly he can rage quit.
Yeah, it's like a fucking DSP stream. Or wings, more like. But I during that Asian clip, that Asian woman clip, where he's like, "Why don't you ask China?" And like, I don't know if he was
He
being
said
racist or
that?
not. Yeah, because this woman was like, okay, I'll explain it. She was like, okay, why are you making this like a competitive thing? Like, why are you looking at other people's numbers? And he was like, I don't know. Why don't you ask China? And she was like, and then he like moved on to someone else, and she was like, no, why are you saying that to me? Like, is it because I'm Asian? And he was just like, he just ended the press conference. He was like, no. He was like,
what is he supposed to say to
he was
that?
like, no. He was like, no. I said it because you're. I'd say it to any snarky reporter or whatever, and just like called all reporters
Wow.
awful. And then he ended the press conference, and it was like, this is peak. Like,
Dude.
someone needs to like set fire to the SNL studio because one, they're doing bad now, and two, real life is so much funnier. Like,
Yeah.
it's literally like watching like a live stream's fail clip. It's so
Dude.
good.
I used to think that like a Donald Trump press conference would be one of the worst places to be like in life because it'd be so frustrating and annoying having to talk to him. But it would be pretty funny watching him like lumber off because he has nothing else to say.
Yeah, they're a lot
Also-
funnier now, I think.
I'm far from the first person to point this out, but literally at these press conferences, everybody wears a mask except for him.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's
I
even
think
things of like
a lot
him
of
like
people-
shaking people's hands still, like still going in for handshakes, still like giving a shoulder pat and shit. And it's like, dude, you are a dunce and a half.
I love when like Mike Pence like a few weeks ago like visited a hospital and he walked in without a mask. He's like, yeah, I don't need one, dude. Like, don't worry.
I would have
Everybody
just
else
kicked
does
his ass
that.
out. Fuck that.
Did you hear? Did you hear about the thing where he was on the hot mic and and he was talking about like moving equipment into hospitals, like boxes full of medicine and masks and ventilators, and like he talked to one of his aides like while the mic was still on. Hey, can you just get me an empty box so I could look like I'm carrying it in?
Yeah.
Everyone in the room heard that.
And then
That's
like,
so good.
and then people
And he
tried to
still did
deny
it. He
it.
did it anyways.
People tried to like deny it,
empty
and
box.
you can see in the footage like how light his box is, like how little effort
Why
he's
does
putting
it
in carrying
matter?
it.
Like,
Can
if
this
you're
man
gonna
not pick up
carry
a
a
normal box?
Yeah, if you're gonna carry a box, why not just carry one with stuff in it? Like,
Because he's a shit dick.
difference.
That's
Pence
it.
doesn't look like he's that out of shape. Like he could probably pick up the box fine.
It's only a box of masks. Like, they're not heavy.
It's literal like cloth and paper.
Yeah.
I I also like how Trump has been talking. I can't believe we're doing Trump, but Trump talking about how much he wants to, because it's so obvious what he's doing, where he just wants, because the one thing that he's been hanging on to for his whole term is like, oh, the economy's good though, right? The stock market. And then it plummets because of the virus. So it's so like transparent that he's just trying to get that back up. And he's like, oh, the test, like testing is bullshit. Like you can just like, I know someone who got a test and they didn't have it, and then they took a test 2 weeks later and they had it. Okay.
What?
So there's that. And then he's also like, he at the same time he was trying to open the economy. He's doing it under false pretenses. And then one of his aides gets the virus and he's quote unquote not happy. So that, yeah. That's the
It's
whole
almost
picture
like he
right
doesn't
now.
have any value for the people except for those around him who support him blindly. What? He doesn't care for the normal citizens of America. What? This is unprecedented. Never in my life could I have thought that.
Yeah, completely out of character for Donald Trump.
He is the most in touch president that we've ever had. I'm honestly I'm surprised he didn't throw a preemptive funeral for this age just out of the kindness of his own heart.
I like the scuttlebutt around the reason why he doesn't wear a mask is he doesn't like how he looks with it on. Like he thinks it doesn't fit his face in a flattering way.
Dude,
So he'll wear goggles, but he won't wear a mask. He think goggles looks fine.
Corona goggles. What's that gonna help?
Oh my god. I mean the cloth masks, I see that, but I think those like they should just give him a gas mask. Those things look fucking badass.
Oh,
Yeah,
that'd be
that
sick.
and also you can't see your face under that, so everyone looks the same in a gas mask.
Dude, imagine if he walks to a press briefing dressed up as Darth Vader.
Really rotund Vader. But when you were talking about Dan, when you were talking about seeing the press conferences live, I was already thinking of this, but this just works. Like I really want to see him in real life so I can understand his proportions entirely. Because
Yeah.
I have an image of him in my head, but I suspect the absolute girth of that man does not fit properly into my mind.
Yeah,
I really want to
like
get that image nailed down, you know?
He likes having his best angles shown on
Yeah,
camera.
but then you see him turn to the left and you see his side profile and he's fucking just like a mountain of lump.
If you want to see how bad Trump actually looks, and probably worse, just go to CNN. They'll have the ugliest shots of Trump ever on CNN.
But
they'll make
I
it look
want
like an
the
absolute
stereoscopic 3D. I want to be able to move my head slightly and see where his folds lie, you know? I don't get the full picture. I want a full 3D model of Trump that I can rotate as much as I want.
I like that you brought up that gamesmanship though, Dan. I find that so funny. It's so minute and so small, but just to spite him, they're like, yeah, we're just gonna show the ugliest fucking picture of this guy.
It's the same thing with the Washington Post, where they'll have the ugliest picture possible for their headlines.
That's been going on since 2016, dude.
But
I just love it. It's really good gamesmanship. Do you guys have anything left to say on this, or is it time for ad read?
Just don't
hit us with an ad read.
Disinfectant.
All right.
Masks are
Jonah,
for pussies.
All right. We'll be right back. Are you bored of the same old tired porn? Have you seen the Riley Reid real estate video one time too many? Well, good news. Introducing Fuck.com. Fuck offers hundreds of categories, including POV, JOI, and even more obscure things such as fucking machine and fat Asian. And use promo code MIXLIX, that's MIXLIX, for 15% off of your next purchase of Fuck Premium. But hurry, the offer is first come, first serve. Only the first person to apply will get the discount. Wait a minute. It seems like the code has been redeemed by Daniel Farnworth. Well, in any case, Fuck.com serves all your porn needs, one fuck at a time. Again, that's Fuck.com, FUQ.com. Now back to the podcast. All right, we're back with one last topic. We actually made good time this week. We had about 6, and we banged all but one out in under 50 minutes. So the last thing I wanted to ask you guys about, it's just a random thought. This is going to kind of replace my my soliloquy for this week. So I've been watching, or not been watching, but I have seen. It's a video of somebody predicting the future, from 1964, and trying to guess what the future of the modern city is like. And he, in the 60s, was basically he essentially predicted the internet and was like, yeah, the world's going to be so connected because of computer technology that we're not going to really be living in cities anymore because we're not going to have to all be located so tightly to get work done. And then people have been, obviously people have been able to do more remote stuff nowadays. People working for big media companies who don't live in LA or New York and just kind of send shit in from where they live. So I wanted to ask you guys, just to end the pod, what are your thoughts on this? Because I have some, but I'll let you guys go first.
Like our thoughts in what context?
What do you guys think the future of the city is? Because
I thought you meant for work. Because I really had something to say about that, but
okay, we can hear that too. But I was more looking for your guesses, your speculations.
My future predictions for future cities.
Yes.
I've thought about this actually for a while, but I remember during one of the band trips, we were driving through Pennsylvania, I'm pretty sure, and it was just like so much flat land.
It was nothing.
Absolutely untouched, not even farms, just like straight up grass. And that sort of gave me a lot of hope about population growth. Because, like, there's all this nothingness that we could just, like, pop a city down on. It, like, wouldn't be good for the environment at all. But, like, there's a lot of real estate. So I actually suspect that within, like, 30 or 40 years, like, there might be some new, like, startup cities. Where it's just, like, people are like, this is a really good spot. Let's not even build a town and then make it into a city. We can just build a city right here.
That's already happening with cities. Like
really?
That's been happening since the 1800s. That's how Oklahoma City was made.
But now you're looking at these cities in Texas. Like Houston was never the biggest city in the country, and it's already a top 4 city. Houston, Texas.
But I'm saying okay, I'm stupid because I didn't know that, but that could be a lot easier, and there's a lot more like candidates for land of where we can just pop this shit. So I think there's going to be a lot more cities in the future.
So you think more cities, not the elimination of cities?
I think there'll be more towns.
I don't think there'll be the elimination of cities, just because yes, it's good for work, but also it's really convenient living.
Yeah, also
it supports lower income a lot more.
A carrying capacity for humans, so we need to have places for them to live. But like I guess future cities, I don't really know. I gotta think about this one for a minute. Like I don't know.
Yeah, that's like low income. It's a lot easier. I mean, it's not easier, but it's a lot easier to live in a city than it is to live in like the suburbs.
Yeah, there's more options.
All right, while you think, I'll tell you what I thought. Because people in the comments of that video are talking about like, oh my god, this guy's totally right. Like he totally predicted the internet, and we're 40 years away from everybody living in the suburbs. I say no, just because cities are, and I feel like whenever people try to predict things, like that episode of That 70s Show. Oh, but Donna, like, we're not even going to have to worry about cooking in 30 years because it's just going to be a pill that you eat. I mean, it's totally different because it's a comedy show, but I feel like when people make future predictions like this, they totally underrate human enjoyment. Cities are never going to go away because they're really fucking fun.
I was actually thinking that, like, I think cities will more turn towards entertainment and like shopping and going out for food and stuff like that, and less like work. Like I don't know, I can see more suburbs around cities, and then you go into the city for a fun night or weekend or whatever, and then you go.
So like less financial districts and more like shopping districts and entertainment districts. I like that.
Yeah,
cities and like people lived in cities to work. So like during the Industrial Revolution, people had no choice but to live in the cities because they had to work the factories. So like now that there's like a new niche for these cities, I could totally agree with that people will be going for entertainment instead.
But also that was when the quality of life in cities was a lot lower. It's a lot higher now. And like it's not only fun to go into a city, it's fun to live in a city. Like being in Cambridge was great. just like that access that I had. It was so nice.
Yeah, I'm glad we're all in agreement because I felt very strongly about this, and to be honest, me bringing this up and asking you about it was just a ruse for me to hit my point. Um, so unless anyone has any last thoughts, that's the show.
Yeah, this was a pretty short one this time. 55 minutes, not bad for
That was
us.
good. We plowed through that quickly. All right. Thank you for listening. If you're just tuning into your first one on the live, thank you. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you tune in next week. And thanks to Chris, our first guest in months.
Yes, thank you for having me. This was a great time.
All right, sounds good. See you guys in episode 6 next week. Later.
Bye.
Good day.
See ya. Maybe never again.